Hi, I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the Senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. Welcome to this edition of Kibbitzing with Kagan, brief conversations with people I find fascinating. As you may know by now, I am chatting with a bunch of the candidates for Congress to succeed Congressman David Trone in the 6th Congressional District. And with me today is Delegate Lesley Lopez. Delegate Lopez, thank you so much for taking time to connect on the late night.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell that we're both busy if we're both doing this at 9:30 at night. And so I'm just very glad that you were able to carve out time for me and I get to talk to a few more folks through you and have this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
There you go. Well, as I told you, whoops, I'm trying to set okay. As I told you, and I'm going to reiterate it here, every candidate is being asked the same questions in the same order, and none of you have the questions in advance, and there are no gotcha questions. So those are kind of the expectations that I shared with everybody. And everybody is starting 2 minutes on your background, your goals, your priorities, why you're running, what you would like to do in Congress, and you'll be on a timer, and you may begin.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I am a mom, a working mom of two little boys, two pre-K boys, and the wife of a increasingly patient husband
Yay, him.
and an educator. I'm an adjunct faculty member at George Washington University and a proud union member. I'm SEIU Local 500. And for the past 6 years, I have had the honor of representing one of the largest legislative districts in Congressional 6, District 39. And so that's Germantown, the other part of municipal Gaithersburg that's not in your district, Senator. We've non-municipal Gaithersburg, so that's Montgomery Village, Germantown, Clarksburg, and I live in Clarksburg. And so I have been serving on health and government operations for the past two sessions. I've had the opportunity to work with you on some really great legislation, and I value that partnership. And before that, I was on Judiciary Committee, and I'm probably most known from my time on Judiciary as being the author of the ban on ghost guns, which took me 4 years. I had to learn how to build an assault rifle just to be taken seriously as a, suburban mom working on gun bills. But the hardest part, I think, was trying to get bipartisan support from Second Amendment advocates. But ultimately, we ended up getting the support of people like Senator Michael Huff, who you know, and Senator Bailey. They're tough customers, but we got them to sign on to the bill, and eventually they became great proponents and have done all sorts of media about it. But I've also was the president of the Women's Caucus when we took on the issue of choice for the first time in 40 years. We
Mhm.
got to fight against Governor Hogan and all of his ridiculousness, and we'll continue fighting him in the next reiteration. And then we got to fight with Governor Moore to put in a bunch of historic protections, including the constitutional amendment that everyone's going to see in November. So excited to chat more about these things.
Excellent. Perfect timing. Um, let's start off a bunch of questions here. You tell us three adjectives you would choose to describe Congress today.
Oh gosh. Well, I think dysfunctional has to be one of those three. I think complicated, because it's not impossible, it's just complicated. And the third word I would say, I don't want to make these all sound negative, but I think divided, but not necessarily between left and right. Divided in the sense that there are legislators there who are there to make laws and those who are there to make noise. And so
Okay,
if you are there to make laws, regardless of what your party affiliation might be, like I will be your partner.
there you go.
But for people that make noise, different goal.
Okay. Tell us, please, why are you a Democrat?
I mean, there's really no other choice between a party that believes in science and that women and people of color are people and the alternative. Um, I was raised in a conservative family, but none of it really stuck. So,
Okay. Tell me something you've learned on the campaign trail so far.
oh gosh. I think anytime I've ever run for office, I've always been maybe not surprised by heartened by people's capacity to just like show up.
Mm.
and volunteer. Like the first time I ran for office, it felt a little bit lonelier. I think the first time you run for office, it's like that. But this time I really haven't had a whole lot of those moments. I've just learned, I don't know, to be more hopeful about things, perhaps.
Okay. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing District 6?
Well, I think there's a tremendous amount of growth and not a whole lot of infrastructure to support that growth.
Mm. Okay.
And if we don't address it, there's short term and there's going to be longer term challenges that will come with that.
Okay. Shifting to some quick issue questions.
Mhm.
What is your position on abortion rights?
Well, that one's easy. I am pro-choice, pro IVF, pro contraception,
In
pro
vitro
birth control.
fertilization.
Yes, I'm pro the whole spectrum of reproductive care.
Okay. What would you prioritize in Congress to address the climate crisis?
I think we need to be investing in renewable energy in every chance that we can get. Um, and the other thing we need to prioritize is showing up as a good international partner because climate change is driven by the actions of American companies and American consumers, but we have to understand that, we have to be international partners and put pressure on other folks who might not be keeping up their end of the bargain, like China and India, just as we do here in Maryland, with other states.
Okay. What would you prioritize in Congress regarding gun safety? You've already talked about ghost guns. What's possible
Yeah,
in Congress, you think?
yeah. I think there was a recent, I think it was an executive order behind closing the gun show loophole, which is a background check on a transfer outside of a regulated firearm, like a handgun that as we would call it in Maryland, or from like a regular gun dealer from an FFL. So I think the next step is to try to find excuse me,
Mm.
all of the loopholes when it comes to background checks, whether it's things like red flag laws and
Why don't
ERPA was
you
what they're
define what a, sorry to interrupt you. Why don't you
sure.
define what a red flag law is briefly?
Yeah, so when you see someone who is putting up what we would socially call a red flag, like there's someone experiencing a mental health crisis, someone who is exhibiting behaviors of someone in like intimate partner violence, things like that, it would trigger um, police intervention, and at a certain level of severity or degree, once it hits that threshold, their firearms would be taken from them.
Yes.
Like everyone has their Second Amendment right as long as you are, a prohibited person. But if you are threatening someone for the fifth time, saying, I'm going to shoot you and waving a gun around, then perhaps it's time that, you know, some evaluation take place outside of what the current laws are. The other
Yes.
thing is assault rifles ban.
Yes. I worked on that. Tell me what you would do to protect or expand voting rights.
So John Lewis Voting Rights Act is the most immediate fix. I don't know if you can see, I have a picture of Freedom Summer and behind this is like my living resume.
I
You
love
ever,
that.
but when I worked for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, I worked on voting rights protection quite a bit because at that point, with redistricting, the Hispanic population in Texas was being cut up in a way that
Mhm.
disenfranchised them. So there was Holder versus, I forget, might have been Holder versus Texas, was a Supreme Court ruling, and I've worked on that issue quite a bit. To me, that's the most significant and first step.
Yes. Uh, could you give us an example of when you have partnered with someone who is very different from you?
Oh, I mean, the ghost guns one is the easiest. If you've ever encountered Senator Michael Huff, you know he was a Second Amendment advocate.
Hmm.
If you ever walked into his office, you had to walk on top of an NRA rug. If you've
Hmm.
ever Googled him, the picture that will come up is him holding an NRA rug. So he's very clear on where he stood with things. Um, in order for that bill to be successful, as I think any type of gun bill, you need to get conservative or Republican buy-in. Like it just is the right thing to do.
Okay.
So I had to work with a hobbyist to learn how to build this, and I learned,
Yes.
just how to be respectful.
Yes. If you were the District 6 member of Congress, how would you partner with state, county, and municipal elected officials?
Gotcha. Well, one of the complexities of this district is that it is geographically huge and it
Mm-hmm,
also is politically very diverse,
mm-hmm,
right? So it's not just talking to folks within your own party at state or county office, it's talking to folks who might be of a completely different political spectrum.
mm-hmm.
And so I think approaching all of those relationships with the same level of respect is the foundational element and learning how to disagree without being disagreeable. Um, for me, I'm always a direct person, and I've had to learn when to soften that so it's not seen as aggressive, but like I think I'm clear, like you never know or you never have to doubt kind of where I'm at on things or and hopefully that's people see that as a positive thing.
Here we go. A few political questions. First, what is the endorsement, either an individual or an organization, that you are most proud of?
Well, I just got one today that hasn't been announced, so I'm very excited about that one. Um, I've been endorsed by 40 elected officials and organizations at this point.
Just tell us one that we can.
I'm getting there. The one
Okay.
that I think is sitting closest with my heart right now is SEIU Local 500.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
you, the Service Employees International Union.
Mhm. Yes,
Okay, congratulations.
thank you.
Next question. Why should folks donate to you or volunteer for you?
Gotcha. Well, I know how to work for every dollar and make every dollar work. I have never run in a race where I have been um, under-resourced, and I've always outperformed with all the resources that I have. And so everything's very, very significant to me. Um, I think I have the best shot of winning this race in terms of just the field.
We
Um,
are getting to that, the next question. So I'm going to
sure. Okay.
you and ask you, Delegate Lopez, why would you be the strongest nominee to make sure that the Democrats hold the sixth congressional seat in November?
Sure. Well, it's a little known fact about District 39 that we're actually 29% independent
Hmm.
versus this whole congressional district is 21%. And so just to be elected here, I have to knock on doors for people that, I might be trying to talk to a Democrat, but it's an independent who answers the door. And so I'm just used to the culture of talking to folks who might not be of my political side. Every single one of my bills has passed with bipartisan support. And so I know how to be a partner in that way. And the fourth thing is that I would assume Dan Cox is going to be the nominee. That's what my Republican friends tell me. And I know Dan Cox better than anyone in this race. I was on the committee with him for 4 years, and
Hmm.
I have hours of tape where I just clean the floor with him. So I'm ready to do it again.
And for those who may not know the name Dan Cox, he's a former Republican member of the House of Delegates who then was the Republican nominee for governor in 2022.
Yeah,
Um, so, Delegate Lesley Lopez, it is time for the Fast Five. Five
sure.
quick questions, five quick answers to let folks get to know a little more about you. Question number one, tell us a shero or hero who inspires you.
Uh, Chair Jocelyn Pena Melnick.
Good one. Question two, at the end of a long and exhausting day, what do you do to relax?
Gosh, when was the last time I was relaxed? I really like YouTube videos on makeup dupes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Question number three, what is your favorite unhealthy snack food?
Probably like anything chocolate peanut buttery. That's my favorite combination is like brownie form, ice cream form, whatever it might be. Anything chocolate peanut butter is where I'm at.
Good call.
Mhm.
Question number four, what is something that most people don't know about you?
I was born in the Bermuda Triangle.
That's kind of amazing. Do you want to say a couple more
Yeah.
sentences about that?
Yeah, so my mother had me when she was active duty in the United States Navy, and everyone was stationed before the invasion of Grenada in Bermuda, and that's where I came about.
That's kind of cool.
Mhm.
And the last question, Delegate Lesley Lopez, congressional candidate in the 6th District. What is your hidden secret superpower? What is a skill or talent you have, something you're really good at that most folks can't do?
I'm a pretty good gardener. I would say I would say advanced mediocre. Not quite superpower, but I can keep most things alive.
That's impressive. My thumbs are black, I'm afraid. Not a green thumb, they are black. I kill everything. It's terrible.
Artificial plants can look good though. You know, you got to do some shopping. You get what you pay for, but
There you go.
it's out
Well,
there.
Delegate Lopez, thank you so much for taking time to kibitz at the end of a long day. Wishing you well, and good luck these final few weeks, and I look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Sure. All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity and good evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.